I should have refilled my drink before starting. Ah, well. We should be live. Says we're live. Are you making a liar out of me? Fresh.
Where are you?
Where are we? Come on. There we go.
We live?
We should be. I can see myself, but I'm waiting for me to talk.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. I can hear it.
Right, so should we just kick this off?
Yeah, let's just go.
First of all, I'll just start with the big question. Do you reckon?
Hang on, sorry. I thought you were going to intro this. Should we not intro?
Well, I mean, welcome to Cop Logic. It's our first live video. We've tested this sort of format before, but you guys won't have seen that. But it is our first live video. And we're here, I guess, to talk about the title race. Because Liverpool have stumbled yet again in the Premier League, and it's another loss, 2 losses in a row at Anfield. And as I said, the big question is, do you think the title race is over for Liverpool?
I still don't think it's over, but it's harder and harder to say it now. I think we'd need... Are we still in front of City?
No.
Haven't played the same games. They're ahead of us. Ugh.
Yeah, by 2 points.
Well,
So, I mean, the thing is, like, on paper, it's not over because that can be overturned in a weekend, but you're relying on City to drop points, which is unlikely. And we've been here before. Like, how many times have we been within a couple of points of City in a title race, and they get it done. That's what they do. I think the optimism is certainly gone. On paper, the title race is not over, but I think, like, it definitely feels over. And as fans, I think it's okay to think like that. As players, maybe not. But I do think, I don't know if you've seen some of Klopp's comments in the press conference.
I was going to go through them on the live stream.
Yeah, well, you can bring them up in a second. But to me, he sounds almost dejected and defeated. And that's going to carry across into the squad. And I don't know. It's not a great moment to be in.
No, definitely not. I mean, it was... We said it sort of separately to any videos or live streams or anything. This was the game that after Atalanta you needed to like show a reaction to. You needed to show that the things against United and at home against Atalanta, they weren't a trend. They were going to be just one-offs. And with the injuries coming back and all sorts of stuff like that was the game to do it with. And it just didn't happen. And I don't really think anyone is in the team exempt from it, to be honest. I think there's a lot of players that have just looked very lethargic and very sloppy and very infuriating with how they play. And granted, I know something that Klopp said last week was these are the same group of players that got us the 71 points in the first place, but why does it just always feel like it's a same old typical Liverpool thing where it's like we do a lot of the hard work and then we shoot ourselves in the foot right at the end? It's just it's really annoying. It just... Someone said on Twitter before, or X I guess it's now called, someone said we've lost, or the so-called mentality monsters have lost the mentality within a week. And it's true. It's horrible to say, but it's true. Like, you look at that performance today, and until the second half when it was like last resort, there was no urgency or drive or anything.
It is a cascading effect though, like, to be fair. Like, dropping points against United is like where it started, but then, you know, if that puts you in a bad place, which it shouldn't have done, to be fair, because we were definitely still in the title race at that point. Yeah. But like, looking at it, that's where it's all fell apart. You know what I mean? Maybe because of how the game went, and this was a very similar game in the sense that, like, we had so many chances and we just couldn't score. And, like, maybe if they've felt like they've just not got it in them or something, I don't know. Like, because, I mean, I think there was a lot of factors at play with the Atalanta game, which was an absolute disaster. I don't necessarily think it's a case of like the players were mentally believed that they couldn't do it. I think, even the team selection, I think, was probably wrong, to be honest. I think Klopp got some stuff wrong with that game. But if they've looked at like the United game as like maybe they just don't have that ability anymore to get over the line when you need to. And now is the time when you need to. You can't afford dropping points at this point in a title race in like the final month of the season is like, detrimental to your title hopes. And I think that what happened today was kind of the same thing where every single time you have one of those opportunities and the ball doesn't go in the back of the net, you start to think like this just isn't going to be our day. And something that I think people maybe don't realize, especially if you only watch the game on TV, is like if you feel like that as a fan, if the people in the ground feel like that, it definitely sort of like feeds into the game. Like if there's that apprehension and uneasiness around the ground with the fans, and there will be, because if you're sat at home thinking this just isn't going to be our day, then you're guaranteed the fans are sat in the ground thinking this just isn't going to be our day. And like it does like bleed onto the pitch. And if there's an uneasiness in the atmosphere, and there will have been, then the players will feel uneasy as well. And once that goes, once that mentality drops, where you just think, you know what, today's just not going to be our day, the game comes so much harder. And if we could have just found that one chance to get the equaliser, it would have inspired something. Even if we only had those 7 minutes in injury time to do it, whatever, it would have inspired something. There would have been a push, and they would have tried to maybe win the game, but like it just wouldn't come. And like there were so many opportunities where it's unbelievable that the ball didn't go back in the back of the net. But I think the big one, and I'm not like blaming him and saying like it's his fault we lost the game, but the Curtis Jones 1-on-1 that had to go in, and that not going in was the epitome of like this just isn't going to happen today. Because that was such a big chance.
Yeah, I mean, when you talk about all the other chances that we had, like I think it was Darwin Núñez free in the box. I think it was like dropped from a corner, just hit the tree of the goalkeeper and all that, and Salah like late on in the game and it hit the keeper. These are all like chances that like they're kind of, I don't know how to describe it other than it's kind of lucky in their side that there was someone there to block those attempts. But the Curtis Jones one was literally he just needs to do his job, and if he does his job, then it's a goal. It's not just like you can get lucky in that scenario. I mean, the keeper came out, was like, beaten basically because it went round them. Yeah, it went wide, but it's like it's only a little bit wide. So as long as it's on target, it's in. It just wasn't, and that's the kind of chances you need to score. And it's really annoying because it felt like we'd done a lot of the hardest stuff to do. Like we'd navigated an injury issue. Like we just started having a lot of people come back, and they were starting to get brought back up to match speed. And we've navigated a lot of our hardest fixtures. And it's now against like Crystal Palace at home, a game that at the start of the season, regardless of where we were, you would have been like, "Oh, we win that."
Yeah.
And we didn't.
You don't really expect to lose at Anfield, to be honest.
No.
Like it was only the day we were talking about it, and I said, like, if you look at our fixtures, you've got to assume first of all we win all our games at home, and it's the games away we've got to look at and worry about where we might potentially drop points. We've gone and dropped points at home, so it's indefinitely harder now because of that. And I mean, you're also now relying on Manchester City to drop points somewhere, which is unlikely, and Arsenal to an extent. But I think even if, like, let's say if Arsenal don't beat Villa today, and is it still 0-0 at the moment? It is. Like, I don't think that does as much in terms of improves our chances because it was in our hands, and losing today is massive because it puts us behind Manchester City, and they're the real threat here. Like, and again, I'm not trying to undermine Arsenal. They definitely can do it. It's possible, but I still believe, and I believed, after the United game, that Arsenal will drop points somewhere. The problem now is it doesn't really make much of a difference for us. It does make a huge difference for Manchester City, and they know what to do, and they've been here a million times before. And I just, I can't see them dropping points, but you never know, because I also didn't think we'd drop points against Crystal Palace today.
I think it's a lot easier to expect them not to, though, with between City and Arsenal this season, I know City more did at the start of the season, but have they had a lot of significant injuries. I'm not going to try and claim we've had more or anything like that or whatever, because we did have a lot, but we managed to sort of navigate it well with the people that came in. But I can't think of any like Arsenal injuries that have been significant towards their season. I mean, Yuri and Timber, who basically didn't even play a game for them because he was signed in the summer and got injured in pre-season, but that's the only one I can think of. City did have, like, I think De Bruyne was injured for the first half of the season, and then Haaland, and they're back now, and it's when it matters now that they're here. So
like, we've just had big players return, but the damage is probably already done. Like, and it sucks because, as you said, we've just navigated such a hard period where we were playing kids all over the place. I mean, even like
Carabao Cup final, like
yeah, I mean,
we ended that with like
crazy.
all the kids on the pitch basically.
Even having Conor Bradley, I mean, the Atalanta game as well. Like, people looking at Kelleher, second choice keeper, he definitely made some mistakes, but he's done an amazing job since he's come in, and everyone has done. But it makes it so much harder because we have actually successfully navigated what was a massive injury
All the
crisis.
hurdles that sort of presented themselves, we managed to climb over them, and it's just when you expect we be like hitting the ground running again, that's when it's slapped us in the face basically, and it's really annoying. So looking back at the last two games, I know hindsight is a great thing, but do you think that first of all against like Atalanta, the lineup was appropriate, or do you think there was a bit of lack of respect for them going into that game? Do you think Klopp maybe tried to rest a couple of players to focus on the league? Because I mean, on paper before the game, that was probably our easiest fixture that we might have thought going into the remaining half of the season or quarter, I guess.
I think, like, I don't know if it is lack of respect. It felt like the lineup could have been stronger, but realistically, if you're looking at the games we had left, first of all, you do want to prioritise the Premier League. You're expecting us to beat Atalanta, even with a slightly weakened team. I remember looking at the lineup and thinking, like, it should be enough to beat them, though, and it probably still should have been. We probably should have beat them. We certainly shouldn't have got battered the way that we did, but I don't know whether you can say it's like a lack of respect. I think it is resting players, because if you look today at like Endo has received a lot of criticism today. He was taken off at half time, and that's not because he's a bad player. It's because he probably has been overworked throughout the season, and these things do catch up to you, and you've got to rest players at some points. Maybe you've got to pick when and where and who to rest a little bit better. I do think sometimes Klopp does underestimate certain sides, which, is potentially one of his shortcomings, and everyone has them. But it's just, I don't think it was a case of Jurgen Klopp looking at Atalanta and thinking, disrespecting them or anything. I think he was trying to genuinely rest players, and it is important to rest players. If you look at Endo as an example today, the guys just played too much football, and it catches up at you eventually. And it feels to me today felt similar to if you were looking at Arsenal last season, where you found yourself in a position where you didn't expect to be towards the end of the season. You're in a title race, but there's a reason we didn't expect to be here. We've just had a massive rebuild. The players, I don't know whether, like I said, it catches up with you eventually, and it's probably caught up with us. The downside for us is you look at Arsenal last season, they've gone on and built, become stronger. We know we're losing Jurgen Klopp. We don't know what's going to happen with certain players, with certain, they haven't renewed contracts and stuff, and who knows where you go from here. Obviously, if a new manager comes in, if it is Amarim, he's going to want to do his own sort of rebuild. We've just had a huge rebuild in the midfield, but he will want to bring players in. There'll be certain players he'll be looking at that he will feel aren't good enough, whatever. It's going to be mad and uncertain times, and especially that's going to be exacerbated now with how this season ends. I think will affect certain players, because let's be honest about it. If we were to win the title this season, I think that certain players like Mo Salah, like Virgil van Dijk, would look at it and be like, yeah, well, I'll have another go, because who's to say we can't win the Champions League next season? Who's to say we can't have another go at the Premier League next season? But now, it's not done yet. It's not over. As I said, on paper, we are still in it, but it's tough. It's going to be tough. But what I'm saying is, if this season ends like the damp squib it's becoming at the moment, that is going to play a factor into these big name players like Mo Salah.
And it annoys me that it feels like that though, because you get the feeling that it's these players that it's the responsibility of to make sure it doesn't end like that. Like Klopp can only do so far, do so much before they get on the pitch, and it's the ones that aren't finishing chances and defending terribly that have sort of turned the last week into like a week from hell with regards to our chances to win anything else this season.
Yeah, I mean, Salah's not had a good run of games his past few games. Like, he's not the same Mo Salah. There's some of them chances on the left foot you'd expect him to put away. He hasn't been doing. Virgil van Dijk's not had a great couple of games lately. But again, maybe it is fatigue. It's been a bloody long season. Don't forget, we've been in every competition right up till the end, really. Everything's kind of feels like it's capitulating altogether at the moment, which sucks. And it's such a sad way to go. Like, the thing is, right, if the season ends a League Cup and top four, at the start of the season, you're taking that.
Yeah, that is something to consider. It's a bittersweet thing because you've seen where we were, and then you've got to settle for something that at the start of the season would have been like a great ask, but it's just annoying to know what could have been, and you've fell away from that a little bit. So you've still got to be grateful, but at the same time, it's a bit bittersweet, really.
Yeah, it's the fact that it's the potential, basically.
Yeah.
The potential that we had and what it could have been, and then obviously Klopp. Now we know Klopp is leaving at the end of the season as well. You wanted it for him for his final season. And again, I want to stress that I'm not saying it is over.
It just makes it's just incredibly more difficult now.
Yeah, it feels unlikely.
So should we go through what some of his reaction was after the match when he was interviewing? So first of all, he told Sky that this one feels really, really rubbish. He needs time to process it. He can't stand there and say it's a starting point for us for the rest of the season. It doesn't feel like that, but maybe tomorrow it will. We expected the reaction and saw a reaction. We lost in that game more than a game. And the same versus United. We were always too wide. He was too free in the box. That can't happen. We conceded too easily today. That's generally true. We expected a reaction to Atalanta, but you could see we lost the game more. That it's repeating to the same quote. I don't really know what he means by we lost in that game more than a game. Does he just mean that we didn't?
I think he means we lost the league.
Oh right,
like,
yeah. Just
the players
more than just the game that we won. That we lost.
That was that was more than just 3 points on the line today. Right. That was, it's going to feel like to the players.
It is kind of mad that he's admitting that, if that's the case, because you would want to think that your manager and your players would all want to be like, no, we can turn this around before it becomes too bad. But as you said before, hopefully that doesn't really seep into the rest of the team and become the general mentality for the rest of it.
I mean, it's worrying that he said that. And what was the first thing he said? If this one feels really bad or something?
Really, really bad. Yeah, really, really rubbish. You need time to process it.
Because I just feel like if he feels like that, then the whole squad's going to feel like that, which is not ideal because we've got still a massive game coming up now. And I don't know about you, but potentially our whole season rests on that Atalanta game now.
Yeah, it's really annoying.
It's not great because it's already hard enough.
Yeah,
it's a 3-goal deficit we've got to overturn. Like, that's a mountain to climb on its own, and now it's like, this could be it. You can't, I mean, the important thing is you've got to stay on them in the Premier League. We've got to keep winning games because you never know what happens. If someone else slips up, you've got an opportunity there. I
mean, I'll put it this way, right? It's just a bit of blind optimism. Who would have thought 2 weeks ago that Liverpool would have lost 2 home games on the run in Europe and in the Premier League? Probably no one.
Johnny Depp's ends. So battered at home. For some reason.
Anyway, that could theoretically. I wouldn't say I expect it to, but in theory that can happen to Arsenal. Probably less so City, but I suppose in theory it can still happen.
It can happen to anyone.
It can happen to anyone, especially with the fact that it's a week. We've capitulated within a week. So if it can capitulate that quickly, why can't it do that for the rest of the teams that we're competing against as well.
Especially when you least expect it, like
Yeah,
Crystal Palace at home.
yeah.
But there you go.
The team that Klopp has probably won more than any games against as well.
Yeah, and we've absolutely battered them sometimes as well. Like that's another thing is like not only were people saying like, oh, this has got to be a bit of a statement game because we're looking to make a
Recover.
statement after what happened against Atalanta, but also people were looking at it as like it's a chance to recover some goal difference on Arsenal as well, and it couldn't have gone any worse, really.
Well, it could have done. There was a couple of chances they did
Well,
have it. It could have been a bit bad, but
yeah, it could have, but
I've got a couple more quotes that I just want to run through here. So he does specify on the title race. He says the answer is pretty easy. If we play like that in the first half, why would we win the league? Play like in the second half, and we can win games. Win games, and we'll see where that takes us. We have to be around now the other guys if they struggle. So it's kind of like he hasn't ultimately fully given up. He thinks that he's probably sat in the same boat of us, being like, all we can do is carry on trying to win and see what happens. But in terms of us being in the driver's seat, that's probably it. That's probably GG.
the thing is, I was worried. Even if we'd won this game, right? I was worried about who is it after Atalanta? Is it Fulham away?
Believe so.
I was worried about the fact that this Atalanta game is going to be really difficult. And part of me was thinking, like, and this is before today's game, we've got to prioritize the Premier League because
That's the thing we've got the most chance with at that point.
well, yeah, one, it's the bigger title, and two, we did have probably a better chance just because you keep winning all your games, you win it. Theoretically, just assuming Arsenal drop some points or whatever, we overturn the goal difference, whatever. But it's hard to overturn a 3-0 goal deficit against Atalanta away from home as well. But my worry was like with this Atalanta game, how you look at it is like, do you go all out, play strongest 11, come out the blocks blazing, try and overturn that deficit as quickly as possible? It ends up a massive game similar to like the Barcelona comeback. And that absolutely drains everyone. We go to Fulham away and struggle because, everyone's just done and mentally and physically drained. And now it's like, not only do we need to keep winning these games because you've got to stay on top of Manchester City just in case something happens and you've got that opportunity and you take it, but potentially the whole season rests on this Atalanta game. So like now you can't even afford to say, do you know what, let's prioritize the Premier League because this might be our entire season, the Atalanta game. So you've got to now prioritize the European Cup. You've got to prioritize this Atalanta game, which means you've got to play your strongest 11. They've all got to go out 100%, leave nothing on the pitch, give it all. The downside to that is even if they do overturn it, and if they don't, I don't even know where we go from there. But even if they manage, and it's an incredible game, whatever, we come back, we go on to the semi-finals, they're going to be physically done. And that Fulham game away again, we then go away from home and we have to play a game at Craven Cottage, which is not an easy place. It's going to be so hard, and any more dropped points, it is over. You know what I mean? Right now, as I said, on paper, still possible. Got to keep on Manchester City's toes. Any more drop points, I think it is over. And I think now that makes that Fulham game so much harder.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I sort of echo the same thing you basically just said. I think you've just got to try and keep going with every single competition, even if it possibly is at the detriment of another, because you never know. You could run out of steam like they have done in the last week or two. Could go away to Atalanta and overturn the deficit and be absolutely knackered. But that could also then be the weekend that Arsenal or City draw or lose away or at home or whatever. And then you hope then that that's just enough to give you not only a second, but a third, fourth, fifth win for the team to go on and carry on. The question I've got for you now is it time for some of these players that are in the starting 11 to drop out either from bad performance or from needing a rest? Or, I mean, if we look at the starting lineup compared to the second half, when we made all the subs, we looked way better in the second half. We were making more chances. We had more energy, more urgency, more belief, desire. I don't know what other hard-hitting words you want to use in there, but the subs definitely change the game up. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough. But do you think that the likes of I'm just going to bat some random names out here for the sake of it. Do you think Diaz should maybe be dropped for Gakpo? Do you think maybe Jota should be playing in on the left, or maybe even come in for Nunes? Do you think Salah could even theoretically be dropped? Kanate hasn't been in the greatest shape in the last couple of games. Like, where do you start? Do you think we need to start giving some of the other chances to other players in our squad? I mean, like Gravenberch, Harvey. I know Harvey wasn't also great against Atalanta on Thursday, but from a midfield perspective, he could,
He had one of the
be
best
energy.
chances. He hit the post and then it came off the post onto the bar
He
and then
did,
out the goal, which
and something that
rarely bloody happens.
something I think that we've got to consider as well is he did obviously play in that right wing position against Atalanta to do that, but whenever we've put him on in the midfield, he has been a spark of energy.
I can't believe it took so long to bring him on today. 80th minute, he took Curtis Jones off for Harvey Elliott. That should have happened sooner.
Well, do you remember what I said at half time? Where I said the changes I'd have been making, I'd probably would have brought Kanate off for Kwanzaa because Kanate did not look like he was having a good game, and I would have took off Endo because Endo looked knackered as well, and I would have brought on not Szoboszlai but Harvey, because I think Szoboszlai in the Atalanta game was too casual and too sloppy with it, and I think he's got to sort of be told you can't really do. I mean, the third goal, I'm sorry to say, it purely was down to him. He just lacklustre half passed it back to Kanate and it set them off, and then jogged back to defend as well, which proper did me head in. But anyway, that's why I would have gave that substitution to Harvey today instead of Szoboszlai. And I mean, you look again today. Look, he did come on and he did drive forward. He was getting down the right wing, and a lot of the crossfield balls were getting to him.
I think he's got a bit of a point to prove as well, Harvey, because I don't know if you've seen his press conference before Atalanta, but he was saying he's grateful for his opportunities, but he feels like he wants to be walking out with the team, not sitting on a bench. Like he wants, basically what he's saying is he wants to start games. It's hard because Mo Salah's the guy in front of you. If you're talking about on the wing, but in midfield, it's odd that he doesn't get as many opportunities because, we're seeing Curtis Jones start a number of games. It's not like the set midfield is McAllister, Szoboszlai, Endo. I think Endo and McAllister are givens if they're fit, but that third spot is open. And we've definitely seen Gravenberch and Curtis Jones start more games than Harvey in that respect, which is odd because I do think Harvey makes a huge difference, especially when he comes off the bench. And maybe Klopp looks at it like that, like he's that player he can turn to when he needs a spark off the bench. But
sometimes you need to reward that though.
Yeah, sometimes you do.
You can't just keep relying on him on the bench and being loyal and always wanting to fill that role when he's doing what he's being asked to do in those situations, but then never getting a chance to do it from the get-go.
Yeah, especially when other players are underperforming as well. And speaking of that, you mentioned Diaz. I think I'm surprised that Klopp doesn't try Gakpo more on the left wing because ultimately Gakpo was a left winger anyway.
And he was today as well. And he was actually quite good in his little debut today.
Yeah, he looked good today. And I think he's a better left winger than he is a centre forward or a false nine or whatever Klopp wants to do with him. I don't really know why Klopp ever did that.
He did have a good little spell at centre forward, but it was more when we were still used to playing with Bobby and having Diaz play a bit like a Mane and having Salah there also doing a bit different. Salah's play style has changed a bit. Well, not even a bit, but quite massively since a couple of seasons ago. So
even just the fact he's persisted with it though, because there have been games where, or even spells where Diaz just hasn't been there. He's been invisible and whatever. And the last couple of games, he's maybe been one of the better attackers, to be honest. But it's just odd that Klopp never. We were always sat there saying if Jota was fit, he'd be in our starting lineup. It'd be Jota, Nunes, Salah, whatever. But Gakpo was always an option on the left wing. It was just one that Klopp would never look at because he'd always bring him on either. Well, I mean, yeah, he would always bring him on in midfield or he'd bring him on for Darwin Nunes. And I don't think, necessarily that's the right call because the guy is a left winger and it's not even like he's a bad left winger. He's one of the best left wingers in Europe when we bought him. That's why everyone was so excited that we got him. That's why United wanted him. I mean, he's kind of tried to change him into a centre forward. Don't really understand it. I definitely think there's opportunities for him on the left wing instead of Diaz. And also on that, I would probably start Jota as the 9 against Atalanta. I think not Nunes could probably do with the rest, to be honest. We're talking about players like Endo needing a rest, whatever. Nunes, all he does is run. He runs for 90 minutes. So like he is gonna need to be rested. And I'm also surprised again. I mean, look, Jota's not been fit for a while, so maybe that's why, but Nunes, the impact he was having off the bench in some games. You think about that Newcastle game where he came off, scored 2 goals. He basically won us the 3 points. Like he's a great player to bring off the bench as well. And obviously, they've rewarded some of his good performances with being a starting player and whatever. But maybe now's the time. Do you know what I mean? Especially with Jota fit, get Jota starting games, have Nunes again as that like explosion that you can bring off the bench, because we need something to, you know what I mean? Especially in that Atalanta game.
Maybe we were getting a bit too readable. Everyone knew what each player's specialty was and how to tailor. I mean, if you stay tight to Salah, then you can probably annoy and frustrate him. If you keep your line high enough, then you can do in Nunes, or even if you just stay close enough to him, is general chaotic play, although we love it, can sometimes be a bit of a hindrance, and it can be beneficial to a defender. And Diaz, he's hardly ever the goal scorer. He's just someone who will drive it forward and try and beat a couple of men. Maybe we just need something like a Jota who won't run in behind, who will almost play a bit like a 10 and a 9, flick between them at times maybe, and will look to be a little bit less, I don't want to say selfish, but a bit more accurate with regards to like helping the other players. Like a couple of times today I saw Nunes had like low crossed it across the box, and it was meant to go to Diaz, and Salah intercepted it, and it was too heavy for him, and he ended up taking a bad touch and it took away from him and ended up going to the defender. And I think Nunes at that point obviously was just frustrated because he had intended it to go to Diaz. He pointed it to him, and then Salah didn't realise. And I think maybe with Jota being in that middle bit, he can read the game a little bit better because of the lack of being overplayed. Basically, just offering something different, isn't it? It's keeping opposition on their toes. So
it also just is our most clinical finisher. And we're at the moment clearly struggling to Aston Villa just scored, by the way.
Have they?
In the 86th minute. It's 1-0 Villa. Which that's gonna make this even worse if Villa bloody win this game.
I know. I mean, it's bittersweet though, isn't it? I mean, I do think Arsenal will probably wake up there, but it's bittersweet, that, isn't it? Because it's like at least it's not just us that drop points; it's Arsenal that drop points as well. But
I mean, it'll help our case, but it's
an opportunity missed. So. Yeah, it's City that have benefited from both of the results this weekend if it stays the same. But, I mean, you can just hope, can't you? They have got a tough fixture in the Champions League and stuff. You can just hope that you stay around them long enough, and this is basically what Klopp's saying. The thing is now, I want to know, like, what are the players going to sort of, I don't want to say do to fix this, because it's part on the manager as well, but I think there just needs to be a change from some of the usual things that we expect now. So, like, I mean, we had Trent come back in today, right? And immediately, I know Conor Bradley has been amazing, and I'm not going to say anything bad about him because he has been good, but I think people were figuring out his role in our team. He would be bombing back and forward a lot, and it would leave a lot of space for Konate. When I saw Trent come on after that, there was a lot of him drifting into the midfield and trying the passes. And it did make me feel a little bit more confident when Trent came on, even though he wasn't match fit. I kind of was hoping he wouldn't come on as early as he did, but then he did, and he looked a bit better. And I think obviously it wasn't perfect because he's not match fit. He's only just come back from injury, but it was a difference, and that's basically the point I keep trying to make. We just need something a little bit different from everyone, basically.
It's a good time to have Trent back because he's a massive difference maker and, technically well rested. I know it's returned from injury, but it's no way.
Someone's just said,
it's 2-0.
James LFC86 just said it's 2-0.
Is it 2-0? Mine hasn't updated.
See, 2-0. Yeah, apparently it's 2-0.
Dude.
Ah!
I mean, it goes both ways, right? Because, like, it's if you know, it's what could have been. It's what could have been. We'd be top of the
Well,
league.
but would it though? Because let's be honest, would Arsenal have tried a bit harder knowing that we won, or have they become a little bit lackadaisical because we
It
did?
is, do you know what? I don't know. You would think Arsenal would have looked at the results because they will have known
They know.
what
Oh,
happened with
they
us,
knew. They definitely knew.
and think this is their opportunity. Is everyone just bottling it? Is that what's happening? City are going to win the league, aren't they?
I mean, it's unfortunately it's not out there for the public, but I did say in our test for this live stream that City is the ones that I think will go on and win it. But hopefully I'm wrong. I'm more than happy to be wrong.
That's the game right there. Villa have won now. There isn't enough time to.
What is it?
Come
What
back.
minute is it now? The 80 what?
Well, we're in the 90th, so we're in added time. And it's 2-0. So that's.
I'm gonna look at it positively. I'm gonna take this Arsenal loss as a sign of promise because I mean,
we needed
probably
it.
go insane if I don't.
Ultimately, right. What it does is it keeps us in a title race.
Yeah.
We're 2 points behind City. Again, that can be overturned in one weekend. If City drop points and we win, it can be overturned. We're 100% still in it now, but again, it's still just as hard as it was. We know
Before
when
us.
when that final whistle blew. It's still just as hard because it's Manchester City we're talking about. So Manchester City we're expecting to drop points here, and we've always said, no disrespect to Arsenal, but it was City that was the real threat, and ultimately been proven right there. I said that I felt like Arsenal were going to drop points. I expected it to be Tottenham. It's happened at Villa.
Still could happen at Tottenham, to be fair.
It could, and then, God damn it, then you're just thinking, what could have been? I'll tell you what else as well, which makes it even more annoying, is even, like, we could have took this because the points we should have from, terrible VAR officiating, you look at the Diaz chance at Tottenham,
the basketball game.
handball, like, it's just like, we could have managed this, you know what I mean? And I don't think the mentality would be the same. The way we are now is we're 2 points behind City, and we've had 2 defeats on the bounce at Anfield. We got absolutely battered by Atalanta. We failed to beat a really poor United side, and I think the mentality is a bit on the floor for the squad. I don't think that would be the same if we were still top of the league, you know what I mean? Even if these games had happened, but we're still top of the league, which is rightfully where we should have been if, those calls had gone the way that they should have gone. I don't think things would feel the same. I think it is all exacerbated by the fact that we're now 2 points behind City. But there is some promise in this.
There's a ray of light there that you have to take as a hope.
People are going to look at this. It's either, the negative of we should be top of the league right now and clear, or you look at it and say we needed this more than ever right now. We needed Arsenal to drop points. Yes, we still need City to drop points, but that's probably always been the case because we've expected City are going to win every single game, and it was probably unrealistic for Arsenal and Liverpool to win every single game. So we've always needed City to drop points, and we still need City to drop points. Not that much has changed.
No, but it's not as bad as it could have been.
The worry is the fact that the mentality aspect of it. Do you know what I mean?
Well, that's what I hope can almost be fixed. So what I was going to get into before when I was talking about that we just need a shake-up. If you put in Trent now, bring him back into the first team because he looked okay when he came on. You've got Alisson back in goal, which I think if it wasn't for him, that wouldn't have been 1-0. That would have been way more. And I've got nothing 100%. Bad. I've got nothing bad to say about Kelleher, by the way. He is still learning his trade. There's some stuff in his game which hasn't developed fully yet. I'm not hating on him in any degree. I think he is a great goalkeeper, but he obviously has some issues where when it comes to shot stopping, as opposed to grabbing it or suffocating it, he will bat it away, and it gives a chance for someone else to hit up on the rebound. Basically, none of that happened today against Crystal Palace, which it absolutely could have been. Yeah. So that's massive. You got Robbo back. Robbo was probably our best player on the pitch today. He's looking back in his best form. And then you've
Yeah.
got people like Jota pushing, whether it be on the left wing for people like Diaz or Gakpo to increase their performances, or even in the centre forward striker position for Nunes, or to be honest, could they even put him on the right wing and try and push Salah to try and fight through this bit of shit form? It gives not only a fresh look into
Who
our
was that?
team,
Who are
Salah,
you saying? Put on the right wing.
put Jota for Salah on the
Jota.
right wing.
What about Szoboszlai? Would you ever consider it?
I'd consider it, but I think if we're gonna put, I think if I was gonna put someone to replace Salah on the right wing, it probably would be Diaz, because earlier in the season when Salah was injured, we were
Yeah.
putting Diaz on the right wing,
It worked so
it
well as well.
worked. Yeah, it worked for us in those games. I think it just gave people a little bit of an unsurety on what we were gonna do with the right wing position, because are we gonna try and play him like we play Salah, or are you gonna let him do what he normally does on the right wing, or what? So, could they even just put other players that are in the team in a different role and try and get them to do something different, and maybe that's enough of a change for them to not just feel like they're in the same old rut. But basically, change, in my opinion, is needed, and hopefully it sparks a sign of warning for the rest of the players that they're leaving out of the team.
It's a really good time to have Jota, Alisson, and Trent return.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? Because they all three of them are world class players.
yeah.
Robbo's only recently returned, and as you said, he was so good today. Like, it's again a really good time for those players to be coming into form. Yeah, I can't believe Arsenal have lost 2-0 at home. Like, god damn.
I don't think it's worth getting into all this what could have been, because I think if we'd the won,
I mean, yeah.
the mentality would be different for them. I think if we'd have won, they'd have been like, we can't afford to let this game get away from us now.
I mean, I think it's surprising still, because
It is surprising of all the times when we've lost at home, that they've lost at home as well, considering how tight it's been over the last couple of weeks. But maybe this just is what, apart from City, maybe this just is what happens to teams, because there's so many games in a season.
I mean, I'd love to see the Opta stats now, because this is just what City do, isn't it? Like, the fact that they're ahead now, I mean, they just won't lose, will they? It's going to take something. It's going to take a massive upset now.
I mean,
Because
one
they're
thing
so
I will
experienced.
say is the team they've got to go, I think, away to, I can't really remember, is one of the teams that they hate playing against the most.
Tottenham.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Tottenham are in really poor run of form at the moment.
I feel like Tottenham are that team you can't really tell, though, especially with Aston Villa getting this win. They're both competing for the Champions League spot. So Tottenham have got to wake up and get some, because it doesn't look like we're getting that fifth place Champions League spot. So they've got to wake up. When do who play tomorrow?
City. No, when the City play Tottenham.
I don't think it's been confirmed yet. I think it was one that was meant to play. Oh no, it has 14th of May.
Because there's got to be a response from Tottenham at some point, because they're getting battered all over the show, and they're vying for a Champions League spot. So for them, their season's hanging in the balance as well. They've got a huge end to their season, and they've still got to play Arsenal and City. They're going to have a massive say in this title race.
100%, 100%. Especially with the way this is going now. If Arsenal and Liverpool are starting to get knackered, I mean, who's to say what's going to happen with City? I know City have got a better general overall depth and stuff, and they've got probably the best starting 11 in the league, but they have also got Real Madrid to compete against. And do they try and prioritise winning the Champions League back to back, or do they try and do the 4-peat, or what? You've got to look at it in every aspect, not just from a Liverpool dropping points, but an Arsenal, a City, Villa. We've still got to play Villa.
I know. We've still got some hard games, to be fair.
We've got Everton and Goodison. I mean, one thing it will do is probably make for one of the most interesting title races of the last, God knows however long, with 3 teams still being in it, hopefully, by the end of it. You just got to hope
It's
that we're still there, basically.
if Liverpool if Liverpool didn't win the league, would you rather it was Arsenal or City?
I have thought about this, and I hate this question. I don't think I came up with an answer, because I would have normally said City, but then them doing the 4-time repeat thing and still being in with a good chance of getting the Champions League. I don't want them to do the treble again, back to
Does
back.
anyone care though?
I mean, no, but it's just annoying for that like 6 hours that they've done it, that you hear about it.
6 people. I just think like I'm not asked about City. It's one of those of like City winning the league is like no one won the league. Do you know what I mean? I just don't care. And I feel like if I have to pick it, it'd be City, but not because of any like not because I want them to or whatever, or it'd be nice.
Just because it's not an answer really.
It's
basically a null and void, especially with the
just like,
115 still lingering about.
Yeah. Oh, that's annoying as well, because it's just like now's the time. By the way, now is the time to give them that deduction. That would be really, really nice. Even just find one charge, slap them with a 4 points deduction. I'll take it. Do the other 114
Whenever.
next season, or whatever. But just to get one out the way now, that would do me. Do you know what? It's so embarrassing. Like, if City do win this league, it's so embarrassing that they're allowing this to happen. Like, the FA, the Premier League. Like, how...
Do you know what's even worse? They've changed the profit and sustainability rules now.
Oh, no.
Do you know what they've changed it to?
Go on.
I think when this news came out, a lot of people didn't really understand it. I don't think I, for one, really understand, but from what I can make out of it, everyone was saying that they were changing it so basically City avoided any of these charges, but I don't think that is the case. I think that what they've changed it to is they've changed it so the clubs can use up to 80% of their club's profits to spend on whatever they want. They will still, if they overspend on that or spend recklessly on that, still get a point deduction. That was something that remained. They wouldn't just get slapped with a fine, which thank God that was an idea at one point, but they didn't go through with. They will be able to spend up to 85%, which is still bad because like teams like Newcastle and City can basically just pump money in as much as they want because they can just make these sponsorship deals up. But at least they'll still get point deduction if they spend over it. And the reason I don't think that it will be avoiding City's charges because City's charges were from a different time when the rules weren't like that. So they should still be liable for their point deduction or punishment or whatever it may be because they broke the rules from like a 10-year period when it wasn't the current profit and sustainability rule. So they should still be eligible for punishment.
Yeah, this is so good, by the way, Manny. Just a response to that question.
Is he talking about the stream or is he talking about the result? If you're talking about the stream is very good. Like, you should definitely subscribe and stick around.
The result, I mean, it depends which result you're talking about. If you're talking about the Liverpool results, terrible.
Abysmal.
But also, where have you been if you're talking about the Liverpool results? Talking about the Arsenal-Villa results, all right.
It's decent.
Like, it's definitely
It's
okay.
definitely on more on the good side than the bad side. I mean, put it that way.
Yeah. I mean, I feel a little bit better. I still don't feel great because the worry is the form that we're in. Like, and 2 games on a bounce at Anfield losing is almost unheard of. So it's a little bit worrying, but you've got an opportunity,
Yeah.
The Villa results. The Villa results. Here's the thing, though, and like you probably weren't here, so if you're just tuning in, what else? I'll repeat it. There's 2 ways of looking at it. Either you look at it as like what could have been. Yeah, we could have been top of the table, whatever. But the other way to look at it is that if we needed this ever, it's now. Again, there's still Manchester City to deal with, which is worrying. But there's always Manchester City to deal with. We do this every season. It's not going to be easy, but we've now got an opportunity. We've been given a chance here.
Been given a slight ray of hope.
Yep. It's going to be tough. And I tell you why it's going to be even harder is because we've still got this Atalanta game to deal with, which is
a 3-goal deficit
for a turnover. Yeah. And 100%, you can't throw it away. They've got to give everything in that game, and that is going to take a lot of effort out of them, and it's going to give us some tired legs for the Fulham game. But, divine intervention, maybe. They've got a chance here. They've been given an opportunity, and hopefully they can grasp it with both hands. And
one thing I will expand upon that is the mentality and the form that they've been in is a concern. You are absolutely correct. But because I feel like it is mostly a mental blockade, something like this result could be enough for them to be like, all right, lads, we massively fucked up, right? But this has happened. Come on, not let this get us now. Come on. And they could just go on and try and spare away a forced run of form. And again, going on the Atalanta game, which you can't throw away, if there's any team that can overturn a deficit in Europe, even away, I reckon it's this team, as in club.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully this inspires them a little bit to say, like, it's not
F.
saying an hour ago.
Well, you had a
whatever,
like
90
spike
minutes
there.
ago.
That's probably going to show up on the stream. And you might have just had another one. Look at that. Just a nice pause frame on them there. I will try and lead this then until we're sure that he is back and has not had a like spike.
Am I alive?
You are alive now, but you did just have a like spike again. So I think you're fine now. What were you saying?
What was I saying?
I don't know. It was after I said about if any team can overturn the result in Europe, it's this team as in this club.
I think I was just saying that hopefully that this is like a sort of a positive thing for them, for the players. I mean, like you were saying, mentality's on the floor, whatever. It's kind of, it's not just us. You know what I mean? Like, turns out Arsenal also are not infallible. It's just City, which we knew anyway. So who knows? We've got a chance, and it's a good time for it to happen because that game against Atalanta is a tough one. If they ever needed any sort of boost in confidence, it was now. It's happened, so they've got that, and obviously it's a different competition, but it just keeps the hope alive.
Just got to grab it back with both hands and not let go, even if you've just got to fucking, I don't even know, use your fingernails to claw on or whatever. Just stay about the rest of them. See what you can do by the end of the season, basically.
So interestingly, right at the start of the stream, I said, "Do you reckon the title race is over?" To be fair, you didn't say yes, but has your view changed since following this Arsenal result?
From what it was or just if it's over, because I didn't really think it was over from the start, but I mean I definitely said that it was harder to say that it wasn't over. The thing that it's kind of indifferent to me because I always said that I think after the United one, the hardest thing would be I think the City would go on and win it, and that's kind of just proved more, to be honest. I mean, look, we're not as far away from it as we could have been from about 4:30 today. So you've got to look at it and be slightly thankful. City have got tough games still. Tottenham, a team that they don't like to play against. I can't remember if they're away or not. They could definitely still drop points there. Tottenham are still vying for fourth spot for Villa because it doesn't look like we're going to get that fifth spot Champions League place. So they've still got to play for stuff. They've still got to go away to Real Madrid. That's still going to knock them out a little bit.
In a way, pretty good
hope
for us. That whole fifth spot Champions League thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's probably helped today, to be honest, because Villa are looking at this game thinking...
Well, Villa, they were matching on points. So Villa will have looked at today and gone, we can't let them win here. We've still got to try and get away from Tottenham.
Well, Villa and Tottenham have basically gone from being quite comfortably thinking, like, even if,
one or both of us might end up in the Champions League.
Yeah.
But now they're like, oh shit, it's probably going to be one of us, and I'm going to make that be us. So
it's helped today. You never know what could happen.
One thing I will say is social media is so...
I've already seen people saying we need to sell Darwin Núñez.
Well, it's not even just that. It's just the flip flop. Now everyone's made up because of the result on at Aston Villa, and it's just like a flashback like an hour or two ago, and everyone wanted to like sell the whole team and wish Klopp goodbye early, and it's like a lot could change within an hour, let alone a weekend, as we've been saying the
I
last
mean,
couple.
yeah, people are so reactionary though, especially in football. Like, it's crazy. The amount of times that like I see it, it's like sell Nunes, and then the following week he scores a goal, and it's like, he saved our entire title race. And then, you can exchange any player in there. I was like, the other day, there was that post I was showing you where it was like, oh, I don't think Szoboszlai will be here next season. Why?
Yeah, yeah,
Like, I don't know what people expect as well. I tell you what, people need to get their expectations in check for next season because
yeah.
it's
They're
going
gonna
to
be
be tough.
devastated. They're gonna be
Yeah.
so shocked.
Like, a new manager is a huge change. This is Jurgen Klopp we're talking
Especially
about.
one from Jurgen Klopp. Yeah,
Yeah, like, and on top of that, we don't know, and it's something maybe we can discuss before we finish. But what do you think is going to happen with Mo Salah, Virgil van Dijk, Trent Alexander-Arnold? Because they're the three big names that we're talking about when we talk about contract renewals. And so far, there's been no real news on whether any of the three are going to renew their contracts. Do you think they're going to stick around, or what? What's your gut feeling?
um, well, where's Salah's contract at now? Is he contracted till next year, end of next year?
I think so. I mean, I'm on the spot now, so I don't
Well,
want to say
I'll go through
100%,
the
but
other two because I think Trent's is at the end of next year as well. So end of 2025 season. I think Virgil extends because I know we didn't expect this at the start of the season, but I don't think it'd be right, and we would have put someone in who we don't back to be the captain for one season and then disappear when the
yeah,
manager
but
goes.
it's worth bearing in mind the new manager could totally change that structure. If
Could.
you wanted to come in and say, oh, Alexis McAllister, whatever, I think make a
It
very
could.
good
I
point.
don't know
It could happen.
why you'd be brave and maybe a bit psychotic to do that in your first season to
It
take
depends
the
though.
armband off someone like Van Dijk, who I mean I know he's in the
Yeah.
last couple of weeks people have been debating has been as good as he has been early in the season, but he has been good again this season.
I mean, I just think we don't know yet about. I don't know enough to be fair, and again, I don't actually know it's going to be Ruben Amorim, but I don't know enough about his personality to know. But like some managers, especially if you're coming in, following a manager like Jurgen Klopp, who was such a personality at Liverpool, he might want to come in and put a statement on the team and be like, make it very clear that this is no longer Jurgen Klopp's Liverpool. This is Ruben Amorim's Liverpool, or whoever it might be, and that's one way of doing that. He might even bring his own player in and whatever. I don't know, but
I think
I
he will
wouldn't
do
say
that,
that.
but I think he will do that in a different way rather than change like the captaincy or stuff. I think that will just be more like a style of football that we will end up changing to rather than anything super dramatic like changing captaincy. I mean, look how many times bloody Harry Maguire survived as captain.
I think there's
So
more going on there, though, won't there? Like
there was, but
the board seems to have a lot of control
yeah,
anyway.
it was. But I would also think that our board would have a lot of say into whether or not we should keep. I mean, could you imagine if like Michael Edwards and Richard Hughes, who are coming in, bring in Ruben Amorim and he just ultimately rips the whole floor up, tears down all the wallpaper, starts painting the ceiling? I think they would be like, let's not try and shake the
We're
boat
gonna
too
wear.
much.
I'm thinking blue home kit next season, boys.
Yeah, yeah.
Nah,
It'll be green because of sport.
yeah. Also, I'm not saying that I think we should do that. By the way,
No, no. I know what you mean. I know where you're coming from. A manager will want to set aside his team to be different from someone else's team. I think his style of play of football will be that. I don't think it will be something like changing the captaincy. I think it will probably change formation. He seems to like a three at the back with wing back kind of play. And we have got a lot of the players there that will enable him to very easily sort of implement that. We might have to buy a couple of extra players for certain positions, but I don't think that will be too
we definitely need
alien.
centre.
Yeah, I mean, well, there was rumours. I don't know how true this is. We're getting into the transfer news and all that now on this live stream, so you're welcome, lads. There's rumours that he wants to bring people like Inacio over, which we've always been tied to, even before we knew Klopp was going.
Yeah.
So that would be great if we could get him in. He's
You
used
would
to playing in
imagine.
the back three, as is Virgil. Virgil, I think, would benefit from that a lot as well.
Yeah.
So
I definitely think that system could work. By the way, Like with the players that we got, we do. I think we'd only need additions just because like Kanate, you couldn't rely on him. Like if you're having to play a back three, first of all, who would your back three be?
What if you were to go to a 3-5-3 or something like that,
Yeah,
or a 3-5-2? It would be, wouldn't it? So my back three, I'd probably have Kanate, Virgil. With the players we've got now, or can I bring other people
with the
in?
players we got right now, who would it be?
I mean, we can only really in centre back have three. We've only really got three fit centre backs. I mean, Matip's probably going to go at the end of the season, isn't he?
Matip's definitely going, which is another reason why we need a centre back. But I think so. If you brought Inacio in, right? Do you think that's enough to then go and start playing a back three? Because if one of them gets injured, say if your back three is Kanate, Virgil, and Inacio, you can guarantee Kanate is getting injured at some point, and then.
I mean, you can then fit Gomez in there, and I did admittedly forget Kwanzaa. I do want him to stick around the team, to be fair.
Yeah, I think Kwanzaa's been quality this season.
I think Gomez, having played a lot of games deputised at right back, I think he would probably be best to fill in for Kanate, considering I'd imagine it would be that side. He'd be that side of the back three. Kwanzaa, I believe, was more of a left-sided centre-back from his under-21 England and Liverpool days, so Kwanzaa could probably deputise for Inacio, maybe, or even Kwanzaa first, then Inacio while he's getting up to speed. I think fully fit, I think it would be Inacio, Virgil, Kanate, and then I'd have Gomez come in for Kanate, and I'd have Kwanzaa come in for Inacio.
I think Trent would benefit massively from being given a wing back kind of role.
Well, I don't even think he would necessarily have to be the wing back role. I think Conor Bradley could play a wing back role quite well.
You then what you doing with Trent
in midfield?
That's a lot of changes.
3-4 or 3-5. You know, you've got. I mean, it is a lot of changes, but you could. I mean, don't forget, this is just a loose structure. Like half the time when you play like a 4-4-2, that does switch around a lot.
I am a trans woman king of kings.
There you go. We're diverse.
I'm not, by the way. I just want to be clear that some males do have long hair. Darwin Núñez, for example, got long hair. Virgil van Dijk, for example, got long hair. You know, it happens. It's crazy. I know the internet's a scary place, but it does happen.
From time to time, they do appear. They do appear. What we don't know is he's actually talking about me. Anyway. Yeah, so that would probably be how I would line up, and I'd probably just start sticking Trent into midfield, and I'd probably have him do what Henderson did for Trent when he was first coming into the team. You know, you have Conor Bradley actually as the right wing back, run up, and then you have Trent come across and play the right back defensive cover. So I think Robbo would benefit from having a wing back role as well, because it wouldn't just be him having to sprint back when there's a defence breaking down the left side.
Yeah, Robbo and Trent can definitely do it already. That's the good thing about it. If he does come in and change the system, you know they can do it already. A back three is definitely possible, especially if he brings Inacio in. And then going forwards, I mean, it would give Darwin... it would put Darwin more of as a central striker role, more traditionally, shall we say, which I think he would also benefit from. It could definitely work. And it also, if you wanted to fit Jota into that system, I think bringing Jota tighter to, for example, Darwin Núñez, if he's down the middle, would also...
I think it would help, yeah. I think it'd help both of them.
Yeah. So, who knows? I think it could work if he does do that. But also, wasn't there talks that, didn't FSG want whoever it was coming in to stick with the same system that Jurgen Klopp had built?
I haven't read anything like that, and it doesn't sound like something that they would say, because what would be the point in going and getting people like sports scientists like Michael Edwards, like Richard Hughes, all the backroom staff that have followed him across, especially considering a lot of the noise when we were first looking for a manager, when we thought it could be Xavi, is that we don't want a Klopp replica, we don't want a Klopp 2.0, we kind of want to be a bit different. It would feel a bit bizarre to have that be the narrative and then for them to change and be like, no, we do want a repeat of Klopp.
It could just be more along the lines of the players, whoever they bring in. It's under the expectation you're not going to come in and just gut half the squad and bring in 5 new
Yeah.
players. It's
Oh,
like
in that
you're
case,
working with what you've got here.
yeah. I think
Um,
obviously there'll be some. I mean, I think we'll be very limited to what we can do anyway in terms of signings because half of the higher ups that we'll have in the near future don't even start until like June is done. So
I mean, to be fair to Jurgen Klopp, he's left whoever it is in a decent spot in terms of the squad that we've got right now. He's just rebuilt the midfield, which has worked unbelievably well when you consider where we are right now in the season, and where we probably expected to be at the start of the season, especially with so many new faces in the midfield, and you would expect to give him a bedding period. I mean, that's one of the worst things about being where we are now and feeling like the title's slipping away. It's like we never expected to be here in the first place, and it's like it would be such a special way to end Jurgen Klopp's tenure at Liverpool.
yeah, 100%, especially with a title that we can actually celebrate with fans in the stadium.
Yeah,
An honour that I know a lot of people, a lot of players did get to do, but not with fans. That would just be special for a lot of them, like Virgil, like Alisson, like Salah. Like it'd be nice for them as well, even if they do stay with the club. Obviously Klopp as well, but it'd be nice. It'd be nice. Just gotta hope that they realise that they've got a chance here now. Admittedly a difficult one, but it's still there. The door's slightly open.
yeah. I mean, it's back on, lads. Title race is back on. It was
Within an
only
hour,
off.
we single-handedly have fixed the title race. You are welcome, lads. Every time we stream, we end up fixing something. First the Super League, then this. Like, come on.
It's true. Yeah, if you weren't here, and you definitely weren't because we were Sea of Thieves, but we fixed the Super League. Which is a little known fact, actually, but we had a massive role to play in that, sorting that out. So
You think it was the Chelsea fans? Nah, it was a Fish Steak Sea of Thieves stream.
Yep. If you
We
know,
single-handedly literally sunk
Yep.
the Super League.
If you know, you know.
They definitely do not know. Anyway, that probably should wrap us up.
Before we finish, Salah, is he staying?
The end of this season or at the end of next?
Is he going to extend?
No. I think he'll run down his contract.
So he's leaving on a free?
I don't.
Or you think there's a chance we sell him in the summer?
It's so hard to call because it's so difficult to know who the manager's going to be and whether or not that'll have a factor into it.
That is true. The manager could come in and sell him, to be fair.
The manager could come in, sell him. The manager could come in and make him a key player and give him could basically work the whole system around him. The thing about Salah is he's one of those professionals that, like Ronaldo, he takes care of himself. Like he could.
Yeah, Salah can still do it 100%.
He's like 31, 32, something like that. So in terms of a winger, an attacker, you would be like, oh, he's starting to wane down now. I don't think that's true with him. I think he can still keep up and change his game and benefit a team that is slightly different to how it was when he first came in. So it's really hard to call. I mean, ask me next year. That's all I could say.
Okay. Well, Trent, is he staying?
Yes.
Yeah. Because he's Scouse?
Yeah, that's part of it, but I do think there's other reasons as well.
I mean, Liverpool's a great place to be. That's one thing to remember. Like, there ain't that many better options out there for these players that I think are leaving. Like, everyone always talks about Saudi for Salah. Like, oh, Salah's going to go to Saudi at some point. I don't know that he is.
He himself said he wants to keep competing at the top level.
Yeah,
and like, that's clearly not Saudi. Level. We've seen the results of what all that spending did in Saudi, and it basically did fuck all for them. So,
and I don't think there are that many places that could afford Mo Salah outside of Saudi. And if he doesn't go to Saudi, where does he go? I couldn't see us selling into like a Real Madrid or something because it's a direct competitor in the Champions League. We'd be stupid to do something like that.
You wouldn't go to a rival either. So I don't think.
I think Salah stays.
Get that tagline going again.
Yeah, Salah stays. I agree with you that he probably runs down his contract. But even then, I just don't really know where he goes.
No, I don't really.
But that's down the line, so we'll see with that one. Trent, I think, stays because, he's Trent, isn't he? He's our Trent.
I think
not
he stays.
impossible.
I
But
think it's partly because of the Scouse thing. I think also that
I mean,
we
that is
will.
a huge thing.
It
Isn't
is a
it?
huge thing. It is a huge thing. There's very little people who can play for their boyhood club and still
Yeah.
be at one of the best teams
To
in the
be good
world.
enough to do it
Yeah.
as well at the highest level that Liverpool are at right now, competing for everything, and he's in there doing it, and
And
he's
not,
a
he's
local lad.
not even just passing him by. He's one of the
Yeah.
people that are driving it on. So
Yeah, I think Trent stays. I think Trent extends. I think Virgil van Dijk extends,
I think he extends.
and
Just
Salah ask us next year.
Yep.
I
I
reckon that'll
back
do.
that. I back that. Right. Well, thank you for watching this stream. It has been a fun one. We've managed to single-handedly save the title race this season with just by streaming. You can thank us for that Aston Villa result. Not them, us.
Yeah, big shout out to Leon Bailey and Ollie Watkins though.
Are they both who scored as well? Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead, lads. Right. Well, thank you very much for watching. Just to summarise, title race is still not over. We're going to need belief. We're going to need backing, support. If you go to the match, or even if you watch on social media, or whatever, back them. Back them. Because there's no good us giving up. Because then they'll give up. So, back them. It's possible. It's doable. This team, doable. So, yeah.
Hashtag doable. Also, Atalanta's doable as well.
I'm talking about all of it. I'm talking about all of it.
Oh, we're winning it all still. We're still winning it all.
Yep.
It's on. Treble.
It's all
treble
on.
Season. Let's go.
Treble is still on. It is happening. So yeah, thank you for watching this. Make sure if you did enjoy the stream to make sure you comment saying that you did enjoy it. Make sure you like it, and we'll do more. And so when we do more, make sure you subscribe with notifications on so that you get notified whenever we do either a video or a live stream. We're going to definitely do one of these at least a week. You guys can come into the comments and dictate what we even talk about. That's fun. So make sure you join them for that. And yeah, any other parting words that you want to say?
Yeah, make sure you subscribe down below if you're not subscribed already for all of the stuff that he's just mentioned, as well as, if you're not subscribed and you happen to be here or whatever, all the other stuff we do, which is keeping you guys up to date with all the news surrounding Liverpool throughout the week in just regular videos, that's still going to be a thing. So yeah, if you're not subscribed, hit subscribe, and I think that'll do us.
Yep. So we'll see you lads in a bit.
Thank you very much for watching. Peace.
Peace.